Fine, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I finally made it after much planning. Excuse the sound of the vehicles. Right, I'm going to try and... Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're at Harborne High Street, the beginning of it anyway. Further down there is the Dirty Duck White Swan with Harborne School, I think it is. And I hope the sound of the vehicles. I mean, I've decided to come here at 6:15 Sunday morning, so there wouldn't be too many people and too many sounds. But I see that the camera is picking up the sound of the cars. Anyway, so I did a bit of research, and it appears that the Birmingham City Council had everything that I needed to talk about Harborne High Street. And in particular, one of the things that they're very proud of, there's a number of things that they're proud of, but they're proud of their library. So we're going to go past the library all the way down to the swim baths and back again. But Harborne has appeared with several variations throughout the centuries, and the origin of its name has often been disputed. Probable suggestions include Boundary Brook, Highbrow, and Dirty Brook. Dirty bleeders at the Dirty Brook. But they're not, as you'll find out. Prior to the Victorian period, Harborne was a small country village in a remote part of Staffordshire. Staffordshire? I told my dad. He said, no, it's not, it's Warwick. I said, no, Dad, it's Staffordshire. I said, although it had developed into a bustling suburb, it still manages to retain some of the charm of a village community. But you'll see, the high street is dying. And we shall walk down many high streets and see that they're all dying except one or two. Lozoles, for instance, is thriving, as is Allen Rock. But here, in the white middle class, upper middle class, affluent suburbia, they're dying. Now there's the Green Man. I think that was a beginning of a pub crawl. There was a time when you could walk all the way down Harborne High Street and go to 13 pubs, I think. I think that's what used to be a thing. Maybe it still is. I really don't know. But it retains some of the charm of a village community. Its southern half voted to become a part of Birmingham in 1891. Imagine that, 1891. Hold on. In 1891, and transferred into Warwickshire, and then subsequently the West Midlands. Its most famous industry, the Chad Valley Company, is probably Britain's best known toy manufacturer, and was based in the area for 80 years. There's another pub there. Early history. The origins of Harborne are buried deep in history. An entry in the Domesday Book, imagine that. The Domesday Book of 1086, 20 years after 1066, the Battle of Hastings. They got an entry in the Domesday Book, they were recognised, and provides the earliest mention of a settlement. It is believed that St Peter's Church was founded during the 13th century, and the land close to it would have been an early area of settlement. Later, some of the larger houses in Harborne were built close by. This is Marks and Spencer's workers. Over the centuries, the area at the western end of the present High Street became the centre of the village and was known as Harborne Town. Here, the roads of Smithick, Northfield and the outlying districts converged. The smithy converged. This was probably the site of a village green, and certainly the location of old inns, the smithy, and for a short time the village lock-up where local miscreants were swiftly dealt with. So they had them out here, even though they were affluent, they had miscreants, just like today. But one thing I noticed the other week, I came down here, is how many charity shops there are and units, shops, and empty to let. Can you see? Iceland is over there to let. This is charity shops here. And quite a few empty shops. I was very, very surprised that people are dumping, charity stuff there. They do that. I suppose if you're a schnorrer, a beggar, you could come down here and get stuff. Anyway, so it goes on to say, the 19th century, by the mid-19th century, the development of the village was accelerating. An 1845 directory of the county includes a description of the village. The chief agricultural productions are corn and potatoes, like the Irish. Corn and potatoes, mate. It's what we have down here in Birmingham. With market gardening carried on to a considerable extent, particularly for strawberries. Oh, I see. There is a blackening manufactory and a steel mill. The labouring population are chiefly nailers. I used to know lots of fellas with the name Naylor in their family name. Naylor, all right, Naylor. Working in their own cottages. Random little cottages around here, bashing away like metal bashers. We're met by metal bashers here in Brum. Nail makers are first recorded in Harborne in a legal document of 1600, but it had been an established occupation in these parts for many years before. Often it would be an alternative employment to agricultural labouring when the weather prevented working on the land. The whole family might be involved, helping at the small forge built. Look at this big store, empty, peacocks. The Edinburgh Woolen Mill. Can't believe how many shops are empty here. It used to be a thriving shopping centre. You couldn't get a shop here if you wanted to. And if you could, they were so expensive, the rents and the rates, and that's probably the reason why they're empty. It's not like this in not Lozells, in Alum Rock. At the side of the rear of the cottage, iron was supplied by the nail masters, a few of whom were among the wealthier residents of Harborne. A finished load of nails might have to be carried into Birmingham to be exchanged for the raw material to fashion the next load. So there's a trade going on backwards and forwards, services between Birmingham and Harborne. Harborne also had a reputation for laundresses. So this is what I was saying earlier, this is the schoolyard. Laundresses, it was clean here, they were clean. Buggers. Perhaps the proximity of the wealthy Edgbaston guaranteed a demand for such work. The census of 1851 provides plenty of evidence of both nail makers and laundresses. And at the young age at which schooling might be abandoned to take a place at the forge. However, by this time, nail making on this small scale was in a decline and would soon have disappeared completely. So here's like an old school, a girls' school. Hugh Morton, MB, CHB, general practitioner. It's now a Japanese restaurant. The doors are open, looks like you can go in. Maybe they're obligated to leave it open because maybe there's multiple businesses in there, I don't know. It's called the Boston Tea Party, so there's a bar in there, a Japanese kitchen. The opening of the railway line in 1874 signalled the start of more development to the north of the High Street. Although the trains still passed the fields of Hilltop Farm as they left the village, the importance of agriculture to its economy was waning. Small businesses and light industry were on the increase. In 1888, the Greater Birmingham Scheme was drawn up to include the annexation of Harborne. Harborne ratepayers voted to oppose this. Sure, we ain't having that. We're not having them bleeding rubbish come down here and taking over who they think they are. There's the girls' school. 1881 that was built. Harborne ratepayers voted to oppose this. Most issues of local government were the responsibility of the local board, and the rate levied on the residents was favourable. You see, they're with good managers up in Harborne. Birmingham's run by Labour, spend everything, that's why they're bankrupt now, isn't it? You're listening, Labour. Anyway. The following year, a further attempt was also rejected. See how they persist, the left wing. But in 1890, after a rise in local rates and the promise of increased policing for them miscreants, improved pavements, these pavements, and street lighting, those street lightings there, those lights, and the provision of a free library, you'll see it further down here, a resolution in favour of annexation was passed. This occurred the following year, heralding in a new phase in Harborne's development as it made ready to enter the 20th century. Wow. The Masonic Hall of 1870, we'll see it in a minute, was converted into Harborne Library by Birmingham Corporation in 1892. It underwent a major refurbishment in 2006. Took all that time to refurb. Now I think there's a microbrewery down there, you see.